Hi, and a very warm welcome to this first layout tour of Hamilton Central Model Railway. Now, when I started to design this model, I, like everybody else, wanted a bit of everything in it, but I'm really restricted for space and I just have to make do with what's available. So, really, what I mainly wanted out of the layout was something that I could run trains round, hopefully, trains of a reasonable length. And that meant it had to be a continuous run, a tail chasing layout. And the second thing really was the scenery, that there are lots of areas round my home that I wanted to capture in model form, but there was no way that I would have the space to do that. So really it was about taking little snippets, little snapshots of areas that I wanted to include and then condensing them down and then trying to get them to all fit together within that limited space. And that was a real challenge. And the layout is very much a work in progress. There's virtually no areas are finished and there's some areas are barely even started. But it's really just to give you a flavour of what we've got so far and what I'm aiming to do. So the centrepiece of the layout is the station, Hamilton Central Station, which is a through station and it takes up the longest length of straight track. And at either side of the station, as we have in real life, there is a road bridge and that acts as a really good scenic break, and that allows me to then sectionalise the layout into other bits. So the station itself, 2 platforms, and what's interesting about Hamilton Central is that it still retains the old Caledonian Railway building on one side of the platform, for which I've scratch built a model of that building. And on the other side, we had a sort of clasped 70s style station building. So the idea is that it was set pretty much in the sort of early 70s when I was growing up. But hopefully I'm trying to make it a little bit ambiguous so that I can go a little bit earlier and run some steam and bring it up to modern day. So a lot of what is on the layout is reflective of what's still there in the current modern day station. So moving under the bridge at the bottom of the station, we enter the rural area, and this is based on an area called Smithycroft, which is a large open green area. It's not very large in my layout, and it's bounded by a little nature reserve, which has got very long grass. It's got a pond, lots of trees and things. At the moment there aren't a lot of trees. They'll be getting introduced. The pond's fairly reflective. Again, it's been scaled smaller. In real life, the pond is surrounded by very long grasses and trees, and on the layout, the trees are just loosely placed at the moment. They've not been planted. I'm still making trees, and I'm still trying to work out where they're going to sit. But this is very much the rural area, and we move into a sort of very classical railway embankment, smooth green, which then moves into a tunnel. So I'm using the tunnel as a scenic break, and when we come out the other side of the tunnel, we're into a section of track which is boundaried by retaining walls. And this brings us into the urban area. So on the left hand side, we're going to have the main street lined with shops and other urban buildings. And this road leads up to the bridge over the top of the station, and behind that we've got a little school. On the right hand side of the retaining walls, we've got a park area, which then moves into a play park, and these are taking 2 very different areas of the town and blending them together. And from the play park, that then leads into Châtellerault Country Park, which has a large country estate, a country house, which will eventually scratch build, and a very open area of space with trees. And that brings us under the bridge and back into the top of the station. Now, behind the station, we have, in real life, Kemp Street, and that's what I've tried to model quite closely, as much as I can, to the model, where we've got a little bit of scrub, then the Caledonian station building, and then the platform onto some railings, and then onto a green area that then takes us into the bridge at the bottom of the station. Modeller's License, the other side of the street, I'm making a series of houses and gardens, which are then going to back onto Châtellerault. So all starts to come together. And I'm also fully lighting the layout as I'm building it. So at the moment, all the streets that we've done so far have street lighting on them. And that includes behind the park. And the station also is fully lit, albeit that the lighting isn't fixed in place, so they all look a bit wonky. And we've also got some little lit clocks, which really are a lovely little detail, which has really added something special onto the station area. And all of this squeezed into a tiny 8x4 layout, which is nothing more than a double oval going to radius 2 with a single partially hidden siding that I can move stock on and off the ovals with. Plenty of work to be done, very much a work in progress, but it's now at the stage where I can really start to relax and enjoy running trains and pick my viewpoints. Thanks very much for watching.